I always tell my students 3 pillars for UPSC prelims: history, polity, economy. These are the 3 pillars of prelims. If you are strong in these 3 and if you have the current affairs support, irrespective of whether you are a reserve category or a general category student, you will not find it difficult to pass prelims, provided the approach and the strategy is right. And today we will talk for 10-15 minutes about approach to current affairs. Okay? Why? Because I am seeing lot of students are struggling with current affairs. When I see the prelims bubbling sheet also for the mentorship students after 66th question onwards till 100 questions, it is generally the current affairs for that particular week only. So now I was yesterday night I was thinking, why despite giving the facts to the students generally and questions being asked from there only, why these people are not able to put the answer correctly. So in the personal counseling, I am asking students, are you reading the articles that are being posted or any other source for that matter? The answer, most of it honestly is coming no. The answer, most of it is honestly coming, we are not reading. Now, if you are not reading, then my question is, what are you doing in Hyderabad? The question is simple, because you have come to Hyderabad to study, and if you are not studying, then what are you doing in Hyderabad? One big question. So, see, it is your choice to extend UPSC preparation from 2 years, 2 years is minimum, from 2 years to 10 years. My friends who have prepared with me are still writing the exam. No use, I am telling you. Even if they get the All India first rank, believe me, no use. The day you cross 30 years of age and you appear in UPSC, in some ways it is of no use, because you will get stuck at particular level of appointment only. Uske aage tum nahi ja sakte ho. Why? Because residual service is not there. So when the state or the country is choosing people to send them to good places, good postings, they see all these calculations, and then you will see, despite I struggling, working so hard for the country or the state wherever I am posted, why I am not being considered for that coveted post. Why a junior who is just put in 5-6 years of service, I have put in 9 years of service, I am not being considered. Why he is being considered? The reason why he is being considered is because he has very long time to serve. A person who has cleared UPSC at the age of 21, he is available to the country as per the present retirement rules for 39 years. So obviously the country will say, if at the 9th year of his service I have to give him a good posting or some good training, the results of this good training or posting the country can use for 30 years. And if I send somebody who is already 46 years of age, it means after he comes back from training, maybe 14 or 15 years only he is available to me. So if this is the case, whom should I choose to send training? Obviously the person who is, because here when the Ministry of Personnel and Training does this calculation, they are very frugal. They see what does the nation gets, because your training has a cost. The cost that the country bears for your training, and if the country is paying for your cost, the maximum output should come to the country. And when will the maximum output come? When you serve for maximum period of time. If you start your UPSC journey at 21, people are becoming UPSC bureaucrats in 21 years of age, believe me. So by that standards, we all are late. Agreed? By that standard, more or less all of you are late. More or less, definitely all of you are late. Say even if you make it by 25 years, when will you make it by 25 years? Only when you seriously start at this age, where most of you have started. If that seriousness does not come till this age, after that the seriousness comes, again 25, so what you are left with? 35 years of service. Believe me, in bureaucracy, if your residual service at the time when you join is less than 31 or 32, before your journey started, your journey has ended. Because if you have to become the Chief Secretary of a state, the average service profile is 33 to 35 years. If you want to become the Cabinet Secretary of the country, average service requirement is this. So before your journey started, before your life journey in bureaucracy started, you have been sealed. You will not come to know about this. The beauty is nobody knows about all these things, because the country, when they will choose you for specific roles, if you have to be sent to IMF as a particular role, say Director India for IMF, they will see so many other dimensions of you, and most important dimension is residual service. That is the reason why people say try to crack this exam at the earliest possible. If you crack this exam at the earliest possible, you will have long time to go. The more time you have to go, four decades here, 4 decades means how many? 8 governments changes he will see. If every 5 years the election happens, he will see 8 government changes in his entire career. Just see the amount of exposure that person, he or she will get. So try and maximize your efforts in a short period of time. If you keep on extending, you will end up somewhere here if you are lucky. And many of you have started at this age. Many of you have started at this age or presently in this bracket of age. God willing, next year or next to next year you make it, you are already touching 30. If the government continues 60 as the retirement age, you have how many years to serve? Hardly 30. What is the point? So इसलिए जितना हो सके मेहनत ज़्यादा करो और जल्दी ख़त्म करके पास होके मसूरी चले, ठीक है? That is what should be the aim. Even if it entails, see, I have seen one this thing, it is not meant to pinpoint at anybody in person. The biggest challenge with the UPSC students is they cannot do this. You have to cut off from the society. 2 साल के लिए अपने आप को सोसाइटी से कट ऑफ करना पड़ेगा. If you are married and all, yes, there are certain compulsions that have to be addressed, so you are there. But if you are not, I suggest if you do not learn this art, ठीक है, I have seen students without consistent effort, I am telling you, it only delays your success, nothing else will happen. So try to cut off. 1 साल संक्रांति पे घर नहीं जाओगे तो your parents will not stop celebrating, probably they will celebrate more happily in your absence, ठीक है. So try and understand the importance of what you call being here and consistently making an effort, okay. Now coming back to our current affairs, believe me, the most difficult part of the preparation to control. Why? Because there is no definite syllabus for this. Unlike other subjects, polity has a definite syllabus, economy has a definite syllabus, history also in some ways has a definite syllabus. But the problem with current affairs is there is no definite syllabus. That is the problem. Things can be asked from anywhere. You prepare this, he will ask from here. What will you do? Nothing. You can't do anything about it. So that is how this area has to be addressed perfectly all right. Why? Because if this current affairs is addressed well, in some ways you will see it has a positive spillover effect on your static part also. Try to understand this, very, very important. The preparation, good preparation of current affairs has a positive spillover effect on the static part also. Maybe there are certain dimensions in your static syllabus which you have not understood when you have studied them only as part of static. Only when you see certain connecting news in the current affairs where detailed explanation of that particular topic has been provided, you will be able to correlate or fill in the gap of your learning in your static part. So that is the reason why current affairs is very, very important. And anybody, if somebody is a technical person and using a laptop for preparation, you should have one major folder, current affairs. In that 11 to 12 folders, polity, science and tech, environment, what you call history, economy, all these folders should be there. And within that folder, that is when you will start tagging things in month wise. January 2022, February 2022, March 2022, and you should have a target that whatever you are reading on a particular site, whether it is Telegram or a website, you read the article, copy and throw that article or dump that article in the respective what you call folder that you have created. I have seen people doing this, getting more than 130 plus in their prelims examination, believe me, because repeated revision of that will give you that edge over the others. Do not see, what happens is, keeping a track of current affairs what you have studied is the most difficult part of the strategy, because it is not in a book that you go back and revise. So that is the reason why you have to create a book, whether it is any website or any service provider, whether it is Insights, Vision or anybody for that matter. They dump lot of information related to current affairs for you. You have to make a choice which looks important for you from the examination point of view. You copy that and dump that in that particular month's what you call folder, and regularly keep revising, and if your pocket permits, take a printout of what you have dumped and keep revising regularly. If you are able to do like this for 18 months, current affairs bracketing is 18 months. If your examination is on 20th May 2023, simply go back 18 months, and from that 18, see, UPSC asks questions 3 years, 4 years back also, but they are at max 1 or 2 questions. So for that you don't have to study 3 or 4 years back. If somebody has been preparing for a long time, it is an added advantage. But as a fresh student, your benchmarking for current affairs has to be minimum 18 months. So if you are preparing in the month of May, appearing in the month of May, then the clock starts tickling from 1st of January 2022. Now what you will have to do, one folder current affairs, in that 10 to 12 folders, in that month wise folders, read an article, copy it and dump there. Don't do extra work anywhere. If you want to add anything which is not there in the article, you just enter that Word document and type whatever you have known, which is not there in that article, or you feel I need to probably, when I revise, I want to revise this also in a different font color, so that when you revise, you know that I need to cover this particular dimension. So like this for 18 months you will have to prepare for your current affairs. Very, very important. And there are certain topics which are very important for current affairs: science and technology, environment, economy. If you see closely, all the current affairs related questions in your what you call prelims examination will mostly come from this dimension, and of all the three, these two are very, very important: environment and economy. And if you have 18 months or 20 months of current affairs, I am telling you, not even one question you will miss, provided you have done your homework correctly, provided your strategy has been correct. Okay? If you support this 18 months of current affairs, what happens is, by the month of February or March, because the examination is in May, right? By the month of February or March, you will start getting your compendiums, yearly compendiums. So try to, even if it is a hard copy also fairly good, if it is a soft copy all the more good. You read that compendium, try to what you call import information from that compendium again into your main folder. So that is how you have to strategize your preparation for current affairs, because it is an open-ended platform. So you don't know where it is starting and where it is ending. So that is the reason why you will have to make the effort in this particular way. Anybody wants to ask anything, they can ask. Anybody? हाँ. अच्छा, sources. Okay. हाँ. बोलो. See, there are two views on reading newspaper. One view says it is a definite yes, and one view says it is not a definite yes. Not a definite yes. It means it is saying it is not required, not required. Two views, two views. If you ask me, if you are a fresher, you have started your preparation just now, and certain dimensions of polity, economy, history, what you call international relations, internal security, in your classroom setting, if they are not over yet, in a classroom setting, foundational learning, if they are not over yet, newspaper is a big no for you. you should not even touch the newspaper physically also. Because I see a lot of students coming for counseling for foundation admissions carrying newspaper with them. I used to ask, Amma, why are you carrying this newspaper? My friend told me that from day one you should start reading newspaper. So I told, do not talk to that friend once again before you pass this examination. Why? Because it is the most wrong strategy, because without understanding P of polity or E of economy, you will not understand, and that too on top of all the newspapers in the world, probably the most toughest newspaper to comprehend what they are trying to say. So how can you expect a student who has not studied polity in his or her graduation to understand the article from Hindu newspaper of all the newspapers? No. So it is a big no for a fresher, but for somebody who has completed their what you call preparation, foundation learning is over, has an experience of 1 or 2 attempts of prelims, for them it comes under this bracket, and under this bracket it is not a definite yes again. It is not a definite yes again, it is a option for them also. See, when we were students, there was no platform, downsizing the article, simply explaining the article to us and giving us in a platter. It was not there. So we were definitely forced from day one to read the newspaper only, because there was no other option. Now if there are so many platforms, people are being employed to do a particular content development job, read the newspaper and try to mellow down the tone of the article and give it to the students. Why? What is the need to read the newspaper then? So if you have, say for example, you have written 2 prelims and you feel that current affairs you are weak, and in that you have identified, I am weak in economy, for example, I am weak in economy. For that particular student, reading of newspaper becomes compulsory, and only articles related to economy, not other articles again. Why? Because you have to narrow down your effect. See, if you are holding the newspaper in your hand for more than 90 minutes, it means something is wrong with you. Whether your way of reading is wrong or your speed of reading is wrong, you are not concentratedly reading, or you are reading unnecessary topics from the newspaper. Whether if you are reading physically a newspaper, if you are holding the newspaper for more than 90 minutes, it means you are not concentratedly reading that newspaper. Identify your weak areas and try to cover that weak areas only. See, lot of people say the maximum time we are spending in editorial, maximum time we are spending in editorial. It means that the basic understanding is missing if you are taking maximum time. If you can read the heading of the article and the first paragraph and the last paragraph, if you are not able to comprehend the message of the article, it means your preparation of the basic foundational dimensions in that particular area or topic is weak. Simple. Reading the heading, reading the introduction paragraph, and then reading the end paragraph. If you are not able to comprehend the message of that article, it means your basic foundational learning is weak. It is only then and only then you will take more time to cover the editorial. Otherwise, editorials are the most easiest part to consume. Why? Because if this is strong, it will happen very easily. If this is weak, this will take lot of time of yours. And believe me, 60% of your newspaper goes into reading the page related to editorial and the page opposite to the editorial. 60% of the time will be consumed in this only. So try to understand. And there are certain, see, one thing you need to understand, that Hindu newspaper is not getting printed only for UPSC. UPSC people who are preparing for UPSC are reading Hindu newspaper. It is the other way around. So there are many a times articles which are not important from UPSC perspective. You have to learn the art of identifying those articles and completely skipping those articles. In a newspaper, in a day, in any case, whether it is Hindu or Indian Express, you will identify that not more than 8 to 9 articles are related to UPSC. and if there are only 8 to 9 articles, if I am taking 10 minutes also for each article, I should take maximum 90 minutes of time. But the problem is that we end up reading everything that has come in the newspaper. So do not do this particular mistake. Shiva, anything else?
So watching a video,
I suggest, see, YouTube you mean to say? Yeah. YouTube you mean to say? Presume it to be bold, italicized and underlined also. Presume it to be bold, italicized, underlined also. If somebody is from Telugu medium who cannot understand what is written in English, because Hindu ka English is a little difficult to comprehend, if you are, despite reading the article from the newspaper, if you are not able to understand what this idiot is trying to convey to me, then probably yes, but only for that. Why? Because over a period of time, dependence on YouTube for clarification of articles will come at the cost of your ability to read and comprehend complex things. This you will badly suffer in CSAT paper reading comprehension, because you have not developed the art of comprehending complex sentences or paragraphs. If you have not done that, you will see that in this CSAT paper you will badly suffer. So for keeping that in the mind, you have to develop the habit of what you call reading from the editorials. That is where the actual learning of reading comprehension comes. And once you read the article not able to comprehend, you saw the video, you understood. Now the next immediate question you should ask yourself is, where did I falter to understand this? Was it the language or was it the concept? If it is language, fair enough, you have understood new vocabulary, very good. But if it is concept, then it is a tickling bulb. Somewhere I am missing the conceptual approach to static part. So that is when it is a wake up call for you to go back and revise that particular topic or that particular chapter or that particular subject. Okay? So it is a big no. Yes, only if you are not understanding. Again, coming back to the paper is very, very important. Paper does not mean newspaper. Paper can be a normal print text also. Okay? So reliance on YouTube in the longer period is not suggested at all. Is not suggested at all. Okay? Anything else? Somebody was asking. Huh? See,
reading newspaper daily, sir, but not comprehensively reading the topic from
I told you newspaper is not meant for UPSC. People preparing for UPSC are reading newspaper. It means that there is a possibility that newspaper is not covering something which is important for UPSC. Hello, I was समझ में? It means that I need to cover beyond a newspaper. If it is I need to cover beyond a newspaper, then the immediate question mark is where? See, if I write all the sources of current affairs, this board will fill, because there are so many publications, certain government, certain private also, which come what you call weekly, fortnightly and monthly, which give information related to current affairs. Now, what certain institutions, not certain, some of the major institutions, what they are doing, they are compiling all the important areas, from where content related to UPSC is important. The most of the areas that they use is, one is down to earth, science reporter, Yojana, Kurukshetra, very important PIB, then your PRS India, government websites, international organizations and also newspaper. So they are compiling it for you. So other than your daily current affairs, you will be reading the monthly compendiums also. One more, how to identify which is the best compendium. This is the question mark every student has. Now, if any monthly compendium is more than 150 pages, I suggest avoid it. If it is more than 150 pages, because you will not be able to cover. Now, what is your average, what do you think your average speed of reading a current affairs document? Per hour, how many pages will you be able to cover? Average. Then you are not reading it properly. सवाल ही नहीं उठता. हाँ, if you are simultaneously writing notes also, not more than 6 to 8 pages you will be able to read in 1 hour. And if that particular article is information heavy, facts heavy, this 6 to 8 will come down to 5 to 6 pages. And if you are weak in that subject, this again will come down to 4 to 5 pages. So you have to understand these dimensions. If you are able to read only 2 pages in 1 hour, it means your speed of reading is very less. If you are reading, as he says, 20 pages, it means राम भरोसे चल रहा है, फिर बस पन्ने घुमाते जा रहे हो और उसमें से सवाल पूछूंगा ऊपर से जाएगा. ठीक है. See, the speed of this reading will improve with time. Why? Because once you have the experience of writing this exam once or twice, over a period of time you know the crux of the what you call article. That is when you get the habit of flipping over it, but not suggestive. Again, not suggestive. So try to understand how I should approach my, see, current affairs will pull you down, and the worst part is unknowingly you will blame the static subject for your failure, especially in prelims, but it is actually not the prelims, it is the current affairs that has pulled you down. So try to understand the importance of current affairs. The reason for taking this weekend classes, picking most important topics or important topics in the classroom learning is to again and again reinforce the importance of current affairs to you. If I am taking time coming every week trying to talk about certain dynamics, is basically to reinforce the importance of current affairs. I am telling you, in prelims 35 to 40% questions will come from prelims, from current affairs only, either pure current affairs or current affairs related to static part. Even if I take it 32% or 32 questions out of 100 questions, it means the current affairs alone is giving you how many marks? 64 marks. If you have reservation support, 10 more marks and you are through. Try to understand the importance of current affairs, and if you are weak here, gaya. So try to understand how current affairs is very, very important, and try not to waste time writing too many things related to current affairs. Okay? So that is also not suggestive. When everything is available, why do you want to make notes here? That is for the people who are freshers. That is for the people who are freshers. See, एक बात तुमको समझ में आ जाएगी over a period of time, that the news is repetitive in nature, but this understanding will come only after 2-3 years time only. It will not come in the first year of learning that this news is repetitive. No. So once you are into 2 to 3 years of preparation, that you will understand that generally the news is repetitive in nature, and it means somebody is trying to revise it for you, not for your interest, because something would have happened in the government machinery that news has rolled back. Say for example, news related to monetary policy committee, repetitive news, because monetary policy every 2 months they will have to sit and do something, so it will come. News related to any government data which has to be published quarterly, half yearly or yearly, again repetitive in nature. International organizations and their reports are majorly yearly reports, again it will repeatedly come. So for example, even this article, it is repeated. We have studied about this article before also. When did we study about this article before? हमने कब पढ़ा था इसके बारे में? मेन सवाल पूछा था, हाँ, एनवायरनमेंट में, याद है? द रिसेंट अमेंडमेंट्स टू द वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट क्रिटिकली कमेंट ऑन दी, याद है? हाँ, सो अगेन आफ्टर 3 months the news is rolling back for us. So that is how you have to understand that the news in current affairs after certain amount of learning is repetitive in nature. It is good for you because it will allow you to revise. It will allow you to revise. See, try to understand when UPSC makes question paper for you, prelims question paper, you have to understand the psyche of UPSC. UPSC also knows that this girl is from Bangalore, she is reading from IAS Baba, this guy is from Delhi, he is reading from Wajiram or some other institution, and everybody knows that everybody reads Vision IAS or Insights IAS. Definitely there is some way these people are, UPSC people are successful in fooling the students year after year, because you can never say 27 questions came from Vision IAS, you can never say. You can never say 35 questions. If somebody is claiming, it means that he discussed that issue or topic in some way. It is not the question that was being given as it is for the students. It is only the issue that you can say claim that I had taught this particular issue to my students in the classroom. If a question on Wildlife Protection Amendment Act comes, it means that I will cover all the dimensions. If he asks a question, I will claim that I have taught this question to my students, but nobody has been ever successful in saying this question as it is I discussed in the classroom. Try to understand this difference, ठीक है? So that is when your improvement will happen, ठीक है? चलो, बहुत time हो गया. Why this is in news? The Wildlife Protection Bill 2022. Why bill? Amendment bill. Why bill? It has not yet become the act. So that is the reason why it is being called a. Where is my pen? This is the arrow. Changing the name. I ask remove the office here. Huh? I say remove the office. How many of you agree? Huh? How many of you agree? Then there is no need to prepare for this exam, sir. Huh? Then there is no need to prepare for this exam. Acha, the office of district collectorate has resulted in centralization or decentralization? Freshers, हाँ बोलो, centralization or decentralization? The office of the district collector has resulted in hard copy here. There, okay. चलो, the first article is related to wildlife amendment. What they have amended? Anybody? Mentorship students, what they have amended? Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill. It is still a bill because who has just now passed it? Rajya Sabha has passed it. What it says? What is the objective? The first objective is protection of what are endangered species? Anybody? Endangered species, the species that are listed in the IUCN. Freshers, please Google about IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. This is also in news. Sites, right? So you will have to Google about sites also. Now the article is related to Wildlife Protection Act, year 1972. Now the government has amended certain provisions related to the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. What have they amended? What is the first amendment proposed? What is the first amendment proposed? A new schedule for what? They have proposed for a new schedule for species listed in the appendices under the CITES. So whatever species that have been listed under the appendices of CITE, the government has proposed to add a new schedule under the Wildlife Protection Act. And what is the intention here? The intention is to increase the protection status. Very, very important. Why? Because the moment certain category of items are included in this schedule, they get statutory protection. They get statutory protection. You hear about this word, scheduled commercial banks. Scheduled commercial banks. What are the scheduled commercial banks? The banks whose names have been entered in scheduled so and so of Reserve Bank of India. They are called scheduled commercial banks. The scheduled commercial banks have certain extra obligations and rights over non-scheduled commercial banks. So the same way, the government wants to include the items, the species that are listed under the CITES appendices as a special schedule to Wildlife Protection Act. What is the second? They have amended one of the amended the section to constitute a standing committee to exercise such powers and duties as may be delegated to it by the whom? State board. So standing committees will be established under section 6. Now in prelims a question may come, the provision for establishing standing committees is exclusively or explicitly mentioned in the Wildlife Protection Act. Correct answer pick करने के लिए बोलेगा. Now it is there. Then 43 of the Act amended, which permitted the use of, very important, elephants for religious or any other purposes. An issue happened in Kerala. So people started talking about animal protection, animal rights and all in some incident that had happened in the past in Kerala. So now the government is making an exclusive provision under section 43, where it says that the elephants can be used for religious purposes, because in some customs and traditions the usage of elephants is part of integral practices of that particular custom. So it is a classic example of state intervention in religious matters. State intervention in religious matters, where the state is trying to make it statutorily possible to use or employ the elephants for certain religious purposes. Next, to allow the central government to appoint, very, very important, underline this, scientific authority to provide guidance on matter related to the impact on the survival of the specimens or the specimens being traded. So whatever species or the specimens that are being traded, because of the trade, what is the impact on their population? For this the government is allowed to appoint a scientific committee, very, very important, scientific authority. The bill also empowers the central government to regulate and stop the import, trade or possession of invasive plants or animal alien species, very, very important. So this question can come in the form of, it allows the state government. So you should know it is not the state government, it is the central government, right? And the bill also enhances the penalty clauses were proposed initially also. For general violations, the maximum fine is increased from 25,000 to 1 lakh rupees, and in case of specifically protected animals, the maximum fine is increased from 10,000 to 25,000. Very, very important. See, general violations and the overall specific violations related to animals, but there are certain concerns also related to this. What is the biggest concern as per the bill? Based on this concern, a question may come in the mains. Please make a note. Mains question: critically comment on the recently amended, Wildlife Protection Bill 2022. Critically comment on the various provisions related to the recently amended Wildlife Protection Bill 2022. Now the problem is the use of elephants, religious or any other purpose. The moment you keep it open-ended, and say any other purposes, it could mean anything. So a loose phrase like any other purpose does not augur well for a statutory what you call power being given to any entity. So this any other purpose, you remember similar provision related to UAPA. Similar provision amendment related to UAPA also happened. What was the provision? The government can declare any individual as terrorist if it feels so. Means tomorrow morning OBEROI sir can be declared as a terrorist trying to what you call attack the students every day. So I can also be declared as a terrorist if the government feels so. So this kind of loose phrasing is becoming a norm nowadays. This kind of loose framing is becoming a norm. This second norm that if you witness closely all the acts that are getting amended is everywhere the government is trying to bring a body which is composed of the government employees, composed of the government representatives or employees who will take the final call on various issues. But it is saying if you have any problem with this, go to the court. Is it good or bad? It is bad. Why? Because the moment there is an executive intervention, this is called executization. Please make a note. This is called executization of very important governance. पॉबैट में आता है executization of governance. It means where you will bring executives in between in the legislation process, governance process or execution process. So this will create one more layer. See what happens is even if an executive is appointed with minimum what you call powers, because of the backing of the government, these executives will try to overpower the statutorily or constitutionally appointed body. So because of that the unnecessary interference of the government will come. So this will lead to more and more centralization of the authority in the functioning of that particular institution, right. It says that some important issues regarding human wildlife conflict, eco sensitive zone rule etc. has not been addressed. Very important. Very recently also we had a human and animal conflict. Anybody? Incident? Kerala? Elephant related only. Last year, pineapple laden with was fed to the elephant and it blasted into pieces. So these kind of human animal conflict related issues have not been touched upon at all in the article, in the act. So it is a very important point you should not be missing. And according to the report provided by the Parliamentary Standing Committee, species listed in all three schedules of the bills are incomplete. So what it says, the species that have been listed in all the three schedules are incomplete. It means complete coverage is not being provided. So when any animal or any species which is outside the purview of the list that is given in this, it may not get that particular protection, right. So that is very important. The scientists, botanists, biologists are short in number and needed greater inclusion of them to accelerate the process of listing all existing species of wildlife. So it is trying to give a dimension related to governance deficit where the required skill set for including everybody in this particular list is also missing and the act is silent about it, okay. So the rest of the article is related to the Wildlife Protection Act and the CITES. One most important dimension related to CITES is its advisories are, please try to understand this, very very important, it does not have what backing? Legal backing, they are voluntary. I think it is given somewhere. The CITES is an international agreement to which states and regional economic integration organizations adhere to voluntarily, very important. ठीक है, CITES के बारे में और थोड़ा जाके गूगल करो. And certain provisions in the constitution related to wildlife protection. One more important dimension I wanted you to write here itself. See, generally it is made, it is portrayed to us that the forest dwellers are trying to extract the forest resources beyond what you call the acceptable limits. This is what is the general dimension. If you have seen this recent movie Kantara, even in that Kantara, that one side of the story is running parallelly, that the village dwellers are dependent on the forest minor produce, but however the government tries to showcase in some ways that the forest dwellers or the forest dependents are either interfering with the ecosystem or are engaging in over exploitation of the forest resources. So now from this, an important question that can be asked is, please make a note, right? Though it is portrayed that the indigenous people or communities, you can write indigenous communities, disturb the forests and its ecosystem, through interference and over exploitation, comma, which is completely not true, in this backdrop, full stop, in this backdrop, discuss the role of indigenous community in biodiversity conservation. Very very important question for next year mains. In the backdrop, discuss the role of indigenous community in biodiversity conservation. ठीक है, so very important aspect. Try to write the answer, all of you, not only the mentorship, everybody try to write this answer and put it up for correction. We will discuss about this. ठीक है, now the last important is constitutional provisions related to wildlife, what you call conservation. First is the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, forest and protection of wild animals and birds was transferred from the state list to concurrent list. Very important information related to prelims. Now the what you call forest and the protection of wildlife, animals and birds is under the domain of concurrent list. It is not in the state list or the union list. It means the central government and the state government both can make laws and regulations related to same. The second is Article 51G, that it should be the one of the fundamental duties of every citizen to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests and wildlife. And lastly, DPSP 48A, it talks about the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forests and wildlife of the country. Now, whenever you give a futuristic conclusion, way forward, that is when you should talk that this particular section, probably the time has come, should migrate from DPSP to the fundamental duties. So that migration you can give as a way forward or with certain statutory backing. It should be included in that, right? The next question is related to our favorite appointment. You can write both fundamental duties also and fundamental rights. Now this is when you talk about not only the fundamental rights of the humans but also the fundamental rights of the animals. So of the animals also you can propose, it's a good point. Next article is related to our hero district. Hero or heroine बोलना ठीक नहीं रहता है, so I'll stick to hero. District collector, even if it is a female, she is a hero only, right? Yeah. What is the role of district collector? Other than going for inaugurations, what is the role of district collector? The district collectors keep roaming around to schools, no? Annual day function, chief guest, colleges में some lectures, chief guest or something. Why do you think they do it? Despite their busy schedule. One is inspiration, she says inspiration, okay. They have a responsibility. If it is a government, then definitely the responsibility of governance, administration, effective functioning, proper maintenance, law and order, all these dimensions also come. Any other reason? Developing rapport with the school. Children. School mein citizens in the sense? I did not.
All the teachers.
No, sir, interacting with
Nice looking teacher.
interacting with public.
Interaction with public in the school.
No, sir, not just confining to school.
I am asking why they go to school. That she has covered. She said inspiration, she said administration overall, seeing. Any other reason?
Well-being of students.
उसमें कवर कर देंगे. I'll tell you something.
Standards of students.
See, always remember, as bureaucrats, you are expected not to be in limelight. Always remember this. You not to be in limelight. You are not supposed to be in limelight, and it is mandated. And the more you are seen in social media, the more love letters you will get from the top boss. You are not supposed to be. If somebody is discreetly taking your video when you are delivering a lecture, it's all okay. But you cannot have your own channel wherever you are going, one cameraman is going and you are posting videos every day in the channel. No, that is not permitted. Okay? Yeah. You are missing the essence. Why they go? To? That she has covered. Administrative, all the dimensions. Inspection, administration, inspiration, inspection, administration, everything is over. Is there any other hidden agenda?
Checking the standards of students, like posing random questions.
But he is not in his role. वो दूसरा कर रहा है ना. PISA is doing program for.
He can also check notes at the time.
If it is not good,
Then he
what he can do?
can recommend how to.
Inculcate in the children's.
Excellent. Telling the parents anything wrong happening in this school, you should come to. I'll take care of it. This is the message, very important. You have to understand this. The message is, I am the controller of this institution in some way, if not directly. Indirectly, I will have say. If you are the victims of the school administration or any child is a victim of any teachers, what you call bad behavior, you can always approach me. So this is very important dimension. That is the reason why generally, see, you will see that the bureaucrats, when they are in district roles, they are seen everywhere. The moment they get elevated from district role to the state level role, departmental role, they are not seen. Why? Because when they are in the district role, they are told that you should be seen by a common man as the power of authority, so that if a common man has any problem, he should have the courage to come to you and file a complaint against anybody who is trying to disturb his functioning or his existence. So that is the primary reason why the SP and the district collector is generally seen in the district level engagements. But the moment he comes back to secretariat, he is lost in the oblivion. That is when he does not seem to be visible to the people. Okay? So because he is supposed to work in complete isolation in that dimensions. Okay? Chalo. Next, what is the role? They say that, see, when you talk about district collectorate, the office, it is said, has a colonial legacy. Why? Because as the name suggests, collector, he was supposed to collect the revenue of the district. For whom? For the crown. At that time for the crown, right? Now, is the district collector now collecting revenue? Firstly, are agricultural people paying any, right? So one section says, when you have removed the role of land revenue collection, because land is not taxed today, the agriculture is not taxed today. When you have removed the complete role of land revenue from our entire economy landscape, what is the use of continuing to have this appointment, and more so with that name? That is the reason why in some of the states they have replaced the name from district collector to something like this. So the article is basically talking about changing the nomenclature. The article is talking about changing the nomenclature. The article is not proposing any change in the roles or functions of the collector. It is only talking about changing the nomenclature of this name because it has a colonial legacy, and this particular function of the district collector has been done away with. So why to continue with this particular name? Okay? Now your homework is, how many states have other nomenclatures other than district collector, and what are the nomenclatures? Make a list, very important. Can you name any other office or any other institution that is reflective of the colonial legacy? Office or institution or appointment? Magistrate is magisterial functions, no? So we are continuing with the magisterial functions. Commissionerate system. Office of okay. Anything else? Huh? CAG. British में, wait, British में, under British India, what was the office? This name we have continued, but this function we have discontinued. Controller and Auditor General. Now CAG is only doing auditing, it is not controlling in any way. So though we have continued with the name, but we have removed this role of what you call controller, because the moment it is controller, before making any expenditure out of government funds, this particular body has to approve that. So for some reasons the Constituent Assembly decided we should not be giving this authority to the CAG, but decided to continue with the name. ठीक है, चलो. What all it says? The roles of district collector: land and revenue administration, not collection of tax, administration. Then district head of the executive magistracy and overall supervision of, the moment it is overall supervision of law and order, it means the district SP also comes under his command and control. Very important. Security and police matters, licensing and regulatory authorities such as Arms Act का regulation is entirely with the district collector. Conduct of elections, district collector. disaster management, district collector, public service delivery, district collector, chief information and grievance redressal officer. So any problem related to anything in the district, one can always walk up to the what you call district collector. And it says district magistrate can deploy and trigger the movement of armed forces in the district in times of emergency and crisis is done under his guidance. So if in his particular district he feels that a crisis situation has come, natural disaster has come, he can invoke certain powers given to him as a district magistrate and seek the guidance of the army people who are deployed in that particular area. He can directly write without the interference of the state government. Try to understand this. He will inform the state government, there is no doubt about it. He has to inform the state government, but he does not have to seek permission from the state government before calling for the armed forces. Okay? But generally what happens in the functioning part, he will definitely before only seek the guidance of the state government in this regard, because it is a natural disaster, generally nobody says no to it. Okay? But he has to sign that order. It is called aid to civil authorities. It is called aid to civil authorities. So this is given to the local armed forces. So the army commander in that particular area will act accordingly, and the army becomes duty bound to act. Very important. The army becomes duty bound to act. The army cannot say I will not come.
But the army bases are not there in
That's why I said if it is there. If it is there, because army people may not be there everywhere, right? So wherever they are, then if that is the case, then probably a little higher up they will coordinate. If it is there in the adjacent district, from there the army will be moved to rescue. Okay? And he is the authority that issues various kinds of licenses in the district related to arms, explosive, cinematography acts, etc. Very, very important. If a district collector feels certain dimensions in a movie are against the spirit of the population in that district, he can even stop the display of that particular cinematography edition. So he has that power in the furtherance of ensuring law and order in his particular district. If that particular cinematography material is against the spirit of any religious practice or against the spirit of any community residing in that area in large numbers, the district collector can invoke this clause and stop the display of that particular movie or any editor material, right? In many states, it is the collector who is also the overall supervisory authority responsible for the proper management of jails and remand/juvenile homes in the district, right? Even though if you are not mandatorily, if there is an authority like prison authority separately constituted, even in that case the district collector has overall superior what you call authority over that person also. He can visit any jail at any given point of time, he can visit any juvenile home or any confined areas within the limits of his district for inspection at any given point of time. He is also the authority empowered to issue detention orders, very, very important, empowered to issue detention orders, custody warrants under special security / anti-crime laws. Say for example, you got an order to get a road widening done in a particular stretch of road from A to B, and in that stretch of road you know that there is a small temple also, and this road expansion may result in the demolition of the temple and probably placing that temple figurine in a nearby identified area. Now if a district collector feels that certain sections of population, certain individuals can cause trouble in the execution of this order, he can order for their detention before even executing the act. Once the act is completely done, he can order the release of those persons. So anything related to special security or anti-crime law, see, district collector has a authority. Very, very powerful post actually, So that is the reason why it is a dream of every IAS officer to become a district collector, and not all IAS officers become district collector. It is only few of them who actually make it to district collectors, but now with the increased number of districts in all the states, generally not everybody gets the chance to become a district collector. It is not immediately after you pass out from Mussoorie that you will become district collector. Generally 8 to 10 years, 12 years of service down the line, that is when you become district collector. But because of paucity of IAS officer today, generally 6 to 8 years time frame, one will become a district collector. Okay? Now the need of restructuring, the Indian legal system still has remnants of colonial authority despite having a modern constitution. The name of the position of the district collector varies from place to place, and the different nomenclatures represent diverse administrative developments in various regions. And very importantly, Article 50 of the Constitution states that the state shall take steps to separate the judiciary from executive. Most important article, underline the article, Article 50. The state shall make an endeavor to separate the judiciary from executive in the public services, right? And please make a note of the 15th report on the Administrative Reforms Commission, 15th report of the second ARC. It is now vital to reevaluate and redefine the district administration's function after the constitutionally mandated establishment of Panchayati Raj institutions. Because of this office of district collector, the Panchayati Raj institutions are unable to function fully effective even today. So in some way, the office of the district collector is coming in between the Panchayati Raj, what you call institutions effective functioning, because certain legislative powers, certain executive powers and certain financial powers are still not getting devolved from the district collector's office to the Panchayati Raj institutions. Very, very important. Next article. ADM बनोगे, additional बनोगे, depends what cadre your IAS हो या IAS हो, तो ADM बनोगे, 4-5 साल रहोगे वहाँ पे. If you are posted in a district, if you are posted in the what you call secretariat, which generally does not happen, because they want you to get the district exposure first. So if for some reason the place is not vacant, you will be there in the secretariat for a couple of months, but the moment the vacancy appears, they will immediately post you there, because as a fresher you are supposed to have the exposure of a district functioning. So that is how you become the ADMs. No, I told you again, SP is under. See, always remember, if these guys are not controlled, it will be havoc. Why? Because even in police, in jails, people under or you can use the word are there in jails. So giving an exclusive right to the police people only without overarching power of the district collector may not be in the spirit of the constitution. So that is the reason why district. See, at the end of the day, this guy in many ways is more neutral than, in many ways more neutral than this. Generally, because of their structuring, because of their functioning, they are more closer to the political lobbies. So to ensure that neutrality in the functioning of, say, jail is an institution for reformation. Try to understand this concept. Because of that, if you give completely to this, that reformation may go and punitive dimension may come. So that is what the constitution does not want that. The jails are supposed to be reformation homes. So this is what is the main agenda. So for that purpose, the district administration. Why? Because, and one more dimension is, lot of funds requirements are also there in jails, and this guy has that pocket, and if it is exclusively under him, he may not be that preemptive in releasing funds and all. So the administration will suffer. So for that particular purpose, and a lot of dimensions related to food inspections, hygiene audits, all these people directly come under him. So if he is not the authority, if they are the authority, connivance is a problem. So that is the reason why it has to be given to the district collector. Okay? In a district, if something happens and nowhere it is written, ये किसका जिम्मेदारी है? It is the जिम्मेदारी of district collector. It is presumed if anything happening in your district, the first call will come to district collector only. Whether it is 2 o'clock in the night, 3 o'clock in the night, people will not even blink their eye before calling you, and you are supposed to pick up the call. You cannot keep your phone on silent and you cannot say, sir, I was sleeping, or I was with my family, I was honeymooning. It is not allowed. Okay? You are supposed to respond at any, because it is deemed that you are on duty. That is why I told you it is not a, it is a service. In service there is no office time. 24/7 you are called. चलो next, ग्रेटर त्रिपुरा लैंड. अरे नॉर्थ ईस्ट वाले क्या ग्रेटर ग्रेटर कर, ग्रेटर नागालैंड. हाँ, एक और क्या ग्रेटर है, एक और ग्रेटर क्या है? त्रिपुरा लैंड तो इसमें है, कुछ और. अहोम किंगडम, स्वाधीन असम. दिस स्वाधीन असम इज ऑल्सो दिस स्वाधीन असम. Then one more greater brother, greater Nagalim is the word, greater Nagalim. Now one more word, greater. Why nobody says greater India? It is already greater. Huh? Why nobody says greater India? We should get Maldives also, Sri Lanka also. ले लेते हैं ना, क्या करना है? क्यों? हाँ, अखंड भारत. कौन था ये? In अखंड भारत, definitely Maldives and Sri Lanka are not there. Luckily, what is there? Pakistan is there, and in some way Afghanistan is also there. So the अखंड भारत dreams BJP has to probably, dig it deep. चलो, what it says? Recently, the chief of a political party of Tripura led a 2-day dharna at Jantar Mantar, Delhi to raise the demand for greater Tripura land. ठीक है, इसको भेज दो कहीं. The objective is to secure the rights of indigenous communities in the state. So he is asking for greater Tripura land, and the reason for asking greater Tripura land is two-dimensional. See, if you have attended the what you call internal security northeast insurgency classes, there is an agreement called Tripura merger agreement, signed in the year 1949. When Tripura signed this agreement, this was the agreement of instrument of accession of Tripura to mainland India. In this agreement, Tripura, even at the time of signing this agreement, the common populace of Tripura was against joining the Indian Union, and the major reason what they said was, one, this particular agreement is being forced upon, right? So that is the reason why they say that we do not belong to India. Now, over a period of time, because of its geographical location, the demography of Tripura has changed, and in this changed demography, the people who were majority at the time of joining the Indian Union, they have now become minority. So it is the change in the geography, what you call demographical landmass, that is forcing people to now talk about greater Tripura land. Talk about greater Tripura land. If you know, one of the reasons for the northeast insurgency is illegal migration. Illegal migration. This is the cause of insurgency in Assam even today, because that is how the Assam Accord happened, no? 19 Assam Accord. Rajiv Gandhi, All Assam Students Union and the Assam government, 1985, Rajiv Gandhi, he had signed the Assam Accord. Based on this only, the National Register for Citizens in Assam work started in 1985. The work got delayed. That is how Supreme Court in couple of years before gave an ultimatum to the government, finish the work in time bound manner. So the work that started in 1985 got finished in 2018-19, right? So that is how it is linked. Now what it says, the party is demanding a separate state of Greater Tripura land for the indigenous community. They want the center to carve out the separate state under Article 2 and 3 of the Constitution. Among the 19 notified scheduled tribes in Tripura, Tripuris, Aka, Tipra and Tiprasas are the largest. According to the 2011 census, there are at least 5.92 lakh Tripuris in the state, followed by Bru or Riang and Jamatiyas. So they are asking for a separate land for this particular tribal community. So they are asking for this particular tribal community, right? Now they are demanding a separate state not only for the indigenous people but also for all the communities who live in the Tripura Tribal Areas Autonomous District Council. Very, very important. Tripura Tribal Areas Autonomous Council, Tripura Tribal Areas Autonomous District Council, TTADC, Article 3, Mano? 371, Article 371, very good, Article 371. When the abrogation of Article 370 happened, everybody was worried. Is the next target 371? But you have to understand that what the government said, Article 371 and all have been included based on constitutional amendments that have happened in the past. So that is when Amit Shah, who was the then Home Minister, he said, don't worry, Article 371 will never be touched, because based on this 371 Article A, B, C, D, E, F, G, special district autonomous councils have been established. Okay? Very important. Now historical background, you can read through it, other demands also you can read through it. Come to the Parliament's power to create a new state. Very important, the constitutional part, where it said that the Parliament derives the power to carve out a new state from Article 2 and Article 3 of the Constitution. Article 2 and Article 3, it is not Article 1, it is Article 2 and Article 3. Parliament may by law admit into the Union or establish new states on such terms and conditions as it thinks fit. States like Sikkim 1975, previously not within India, became part of the country under Article 2. Now the homework for you is, put a box, provisions related to cessation of land. If today India decides to give Ashoknagar to Pakistan, what is the procedure to be followed? What is the procedure to be followed? ये homework करो, ठीक है? Other, what you call other these things, they are simply. Now next article related to currency swap framework, SARC's currency swap framework. It is in news because recently, yeah, the Reserve Bank of India gave what you call entered into a currency swap agreement. Who can explain what is a currency swap agreement? Very recently we did it with Sri Lanka also. Couple of months before we did it with Sri Lanka also. Now, and India did with Japan also. $75 billion, if I remember it correctly. $75 billion. Now, what is a currency swap agreement? कौन बताएगा? Sai Sesh.
Exchange of currency with the predetermined rules and
See, shall I explain? He is right. He said exchange between two currencies without the intermediation of dollar. यही बोलना चाह रहे हैं, ठीक है? Now, say for what is the Maldivian currency? हाँ? Maldivian currency क्या है? Maldivian rupee, but not that symbol. For your understanding, I am putting that symbol. Now, say for example, if Indian rupee is there, Maldivian rupee is there. Now, if see, in comparison, Maldives is a smaller country than India, economically smaller, geographically smaller, in all dimensions smaller country. Now, if Maldives wants to convert its rupee into Indian rupee, what Maldives have to do? First they have to convert their rupee into dollar, then based on this it will convert its dollar into Indian rupee. But in a currency swap agreement, what is the underlying intention is to obviate, very important word, to obviate the volatility of its currency. This is the biggest reason why countries enter into currency swap agreements. Say for example, today India says I am signing a $75 billion currency swap agreement with Japan. Please try to understand, especially the freshers, the currency swap agreement does not mean immediate exchange of money with them, or you are not taking any loan from Japan. Please do not go home with that intention. See, if I have Japanese yen, no? What is the currency of Japanese? Yen. And there is dollar in between and you have rupee here. Now, if India has signed a $75 billion dollars currency swap agreement with Japan directly, it means that I am trying to obviate my currency volatility risk with dollar. Now, what I will do, when I say I am ready to swap this currency with you, we will decide and fix an amount. For example, presently $1 is equal to 80 rupees, we will assume. Now, I can enter into this agreement, say for next 5 years or next 10 years, India signs a currency swap agreement with Japan, wherein I will say I will peg my rupee at $81. I will peg my rupee at $81. So now if I am pegging it higher than this, it means that I fear my rupee will further fall. So that is the reason why, to obviate the falling of rupee beyond this, I am getting into a currency swap agreement. So if, say for example, the currency goes 82 rupees per dollar, even in that case also you will have to pay 81 rupees only. So you try to understand, I am only trying to address this is good for India or bad for India? Hey. Currency swapping मैं पूछ रहा हूँ, not export import. How it is bad? I am getting, if I give him $1, he is supposed to give me 82 rupees. So that is the reason why you have to understand, what if it becomes 79? अरे कुछ समझ में आया गौतमी? If you are pegging it at 81 and if the currency has depreciated, here it is not appreciation, it is the depreciation of currency with respect to dollar. The currency has depreciated to 82 rupees only. Now in this scenario, if I am saying Japan, please give me $75 billion में से please give me $5 billion out of the currency swap agreement. Now what rate Japan will give is the rate that I have fixed with Japan, irrespective of whatever is the appreciation or depreciation of the rupee. So this is basically done to meet short term currency requirements. You have to understand this. That is the reason why only the agreement is signed. There is no exchange of money that happens. Exchange of money will happen only when I badly need it, but a situation may actually not come that we need it, but we do this to obviate any important volatility situation that may arise. And $75 billion is huge amount. $75 billion is huge amount. We may never take it also. But we keep it for safety purposes. So the same way, the way we did this with Japan, Maldives did it with Indian rupee. Very important, right? So generally the smaller countries try to swap their currency with a bigger country. The same way Sri Lanka, same way Maldives also, right?
Sir, why Maldives not signed with China? Because it's also getting influenced by China.
No, see, at the end of the day, everybody including China knows that I have expansionist designs. So Sri Lanka has paid a huge cost. Hambantota port has gone now. So the world has realized that the Chinese intention is not altruistic, it has hidden intentions. So even then, that is the reason why, and Maldives is one country, historically, whenever there was a political problem, whenever there was a military problem in that country, it is India who has responded always as a first responder. So it is a natural consequence that they will come to us. Natural. The belief system in India is much more deep rooted than the belief system on the Chinese, luckily. Okay? Chalo, next. RBI's monetary policy. Recently the monetary policy has also come. What is the most important? Yeah. The rising what is repo rate? What is repo? Repurchasing. Repo is nothing but, if freshers are not understanding, don't worry. See, whenever in a layman's language, whenever, see, here I will talk about digital currency also. 1-2 minute में बात करूँगा. Commercial bank. Reserve Bank performs the function of banker to banks and banker to the country, banker to the bank also and banker to the country also. Whenever this guy needs money, whenever this guy needs money, he can approach RBI, because RBI performs the function of banker to banks, fulfilling the function of banker to banks. And if the government is approaching RBI for money, that platform is called one lender of last resort is, somebody said, कौन बोला? The ways and means advances, please Google about it. A definite amount of money is decided at the start of the financial year, say 75,000 crores or 1,00,000 crores. Please Google about the money also. A definite amount of money is fixed at the start of the year that the government can take loan from what you call the Reserve Bank of India. Based on the day-to-day requirement, the government keeps withdrawing money from the ways and means advances. And please make a note, the RBI does not give this money to government free. Even in that case, same repo rate is, and if the government fails to pay on time, penalty is also levied to the government. RBI free में पैसा किसी को नहीं देता है, including government also. So even if the government has to withdraw money from RBI, it has to pay it interest if it is failing to pay on time, it has to pay penalty also on the failure of this thing. That is the reason why RBI and the government regularly interact, where the RBI keeps telling you are about to cross the limit of your ways and means advances, and your important bill 500 crores is coming for clearance and your balance is $480 crores only. You have to pump in 20 crores immediately. Now what is the way out with the government to pump in that 20 crores? Issue of bills, or that is how the government tries to cover that immediate gap of requirement. This is the biggest tension with in engaging with the state government and the bank, or the central government and the bank. Almost all the state governments also, RBI is doing the job of accountant for the state governments also. It is called public PDO office. We have an office called PDO, public deposit, right? Now this is one dimension. Now in the monetary policy committee, this repo rate, the rate at which the commercial banks draw money from RBI has been increased to कितना है अभी? 6 point, अरे कितना है? 6.25%. Now say for example, listen carefully, the freshers also and also the senior guys, if the repo rate is increased, what does it mean? If the repo rate is increased, what does it mean? If the repo rate is increased, what is it indicative of? Premlata, नाम बदल दूंगा. हाँ, नहीं, what is it indicating? If say for example earlier the repo rate was 6%, now the repo rate has been increased to 6.25%. What is it indicative of? The RBI is trying to, it means that there is an inflationary trend in the market, and one of the tools to control inflation is the repo rate. Repo is repurchase obligation. Okay? Repo is repurchase obligation. So if it is increasing, it means that there is still inflationary effect. You remember last week or last to last week we discussed about a special monetary policy meeting, where the MPC sat especially to give written reply to the government why they could not contain inflation within the band of 4% plus minus 2% in the last how many consecutive quarters? How many consecutive quarters? 2 consecutive quarters, means last 6 months. Why they were not able to contain inflation? So that meeting was a separate meeting, and in this meeting they increased the what you call percentage. See, the monetary policy functions and one more functions of RBI, basically the market intervention function. These two functions of the RBI are the most secretive functions, and out of these two, the market intervention is the most secretive what you call job of RBI. Only certain high ranking officers are aware of this particular function. Even if a particular department is responsible for the market intervention, all the officers in the department will not know when, where and by what amount RBI is going to intervene in the market. What is the market intervention? What is the market intervention of RBI? Selling and buying of, right? So this particular role of RBI is very secretively done, because it may have a negative effect or a positive effect. If I know as a commoner tomorrow RBI is going to buy so many securities or sell so many securities. Based on that move, I can play my card a day before. So that is the reason why, to avoid any what you call earnings by somebody through insider trading, these decisions are very secretively kept. The governor and one DG and one executing officer, only 2-3 people are aware of this, rest nobody in the bank is aware when they are going to intervene in the market. So that is, that secrecy is maintained in this particular matter. But when it comes to monetary policy, generally the board members, when they sit and decide, depending on the voting system only, the decision is finally taken whether to increase or reduce or keep it as it is. So in that, generally the things are out, and the statements of each and every member of the monetary policy is also made public after a certain amount of time. But when it comes to market intervention, whether to intervene or not, how much amount to intervene or not, is never made public. It remains secretive only. All the documents, everything is documented, but it is kept secretly only. Okay? Chalo. Now what is the monetary policy framework? See, before this monetary policy was constituted in the year 2016, we all know that it was the RBI governor independently had the authority to decide whether to increase or reduce the repo rate. Nobody could question his authority. But in 2016, based on the recommendation of Urjit Patel committee, a monetary policy committee has been established, containing how many members? 6 members, including the RBI governor. So this particular committee sits and decides what is to be done primarily with the repo rate, because this monetary policy committee has been given the responsibility to ensure inflation targeting. The word is inflation targeting. So they are responsible to ensure that the inflation remains within 4% plus or minus 2%. It means maximum inflation can go 2%, or minimum it can go 2%, or maximum 6%. It is the job of the monetary policy committee. Earlier it was the governor alone who was taking decisions. Now it is the committee that is basically done. Now in this monetary policy committee of 6 people, 3 people are from the government representatives, and 3 people are from RBI, including one compulsorily the governor and one DG who is responsible for the monetary policy functioning of the bank, and one more high ranking official as decided by the RBI governor. So these 6 people constitute the monetary policy committee who take decisions related to this particular rate, which controls eventually the inflation in the market. So in the recent monetary policy committee meeting, the committee decided to increase the what we call repo rate from so and so to 6.25%. Okay? So this is the news. Anybody who has not understood, they can ask. So the monetary policy composition: 45 Zulu Bravo Z and B. This is a section 45 ZB of the RBI Act. Okay? Now next article is related to amalgamation of ODOP and legal status of what is the legal statutory body? Statutory body. See, it is neither society. See, if you ask from that parlance, RBI is just nothing but a policy making body. From perspective, he is asking from a different perspective. From that perspective, RBI is just a if you see all the functions of RBI, they all come into policy. They all come into policy. What is FATF? What is the role? It is giving recommendations, no? 40 plus. तुम सबको मैं लाइन में खड़ा करके गोली मार दूंगा, मैं बता रहा हूँ. 40 plus how many recommendations? I am really hurt. 40 plus 40 plus 40 recommendations related to money laundering, dash recommendations related to how many? 40 plus 9 terrorism. राम जाने अल्लाह जाने क्या होगा, हाँ कोई बात नहीं, प्रकाश होता रहता है, छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती है ना. You are not revising guys, I am telling you, you are preparing for one of the biggest roles in society. You cannot afford to not revise, you cannot afford to forget. You cannot tell the chief minister, sir, I forgot. He will literally shoot you. I may not, but he will definitely shoot you. Rashmi, I was expecting you to give the answer. Chalo, amalgamation of ODOP. What is this ODOP? One district, one product. Now what they have done? They have mixed it with district export hub. District as, please listen, इसमें कुछ भी नहीं है, only one line, try to understand. Earlier it was one district, one product. What was happening in this one district, one product is, if there were cluster of products and even if you have to promote a single particular product, a product has to be supported in its entire life cycle. Try to understand. A product has to be supported in its entire life cycle. So when they are doing ODOP, one district, one product, they are able to support the product but not in its entire life cycle. So this problems the government faced when in the execution of this ODOP scheme. So that is when it said, if I bring in a cluster approach will take care of two things. One, it will take care of any other product which is also the imminent what you call capacity, manufacturing or production capacity of the district, and also the other dimensions which are important to get support in the entire life cycle of a product. So moving ahead from ODOP, they have merged this with a program called district as export hub. So it is the entire district which is getting addressed and not only one product, if there are cluster of products, and also the entire life cycle of the product support is getting. See what they are saying, see, ODP is an approach adopted under the very, very important Pradhan Mantri formalization of micro food processing enterprises scheme. Very, very important for prelims, this statement. It will provide for the framework for value chain development and alignment of support infrastructure of PMFME. There may be more than one cluster of ODOP products in one district. Try to understand. But the problem here was that they were not able to support the entire life cycle. The life cycle major part is also your value chain and infrastructural support also. This was not coming in the way it was desired. So that is how they had to merge it with a program called district as export hub, wherein this was happening earlier with ODOP also, but the entire life cycle support they were not able to do it. So that is the reason why, to provide not only value chain but also other infrastructural support to the product, they merged this ODOP with the DEH, district as export hub. Something related to this before? Something related to this before? एक था ना export oriented units. Export oriented units. One is special economic zones. One is special economic zone. Other than one more, that was export oriented units. All the benefits of special economic zones were given to the export oriented units also. So it is in some ways reflection of that export oriented units, but in a geographical perspective, yeah, you are telling something, yeah, okay. But one important from the prelims perspective, in the what is ODOP approach, the ODOP could be a perishable produce, very important, based or cereal based or a food item widely produced in the area. So it could be a perishable produce based or cereal based or a food item widely produced in a particular area. Perishable is also included. Please underline that word, perishable. Certain other traditional and innovative products including waste to wealth products could be supported under the scheme. Now after the what you call merging it with the district as export hub schemes, okay? They have given the achievements of the ODOP, you can go through, but one important dimension related to ODOP that you need to understand was it was a centrally sponsored scheme. This dimension please make a note, ODOP was a centrally sponsored scheme. What is the meaning of centrally sponsored scheme? What is the meaning of a centrally sponsored scheme? Yeah, both the center and state contribute in the what you call overall effect. I think कहीं ना कहीं दिया होगा इसमें, I don't see it, but it is a centrally sponsored scheme. Okay, come to the last article, National Bamboo Mission, very important. Why? Because why National Bamboo Mission is important? Recently bamboo has been removed from the classification of a tree. So why? Because if you keep bamboo under the classification of tree, lot of problems will come in its cultivation and harvesting. So that is the reason why the Forest Act 1927 was amended, and in 2017 if I am right, and this was removed from the classification of a tree. So for all practical purposes it is not a tree, but it is a grass that can be what you call cultivated and harvested without applying any forest protection rights to that particular item. So that is the intention why its declassification was done from tree to grass, that is the intention. So that, see what happens is, the forest what you call officials, if something is tree, cutting a tree is a offense, So that is the reason why bamboo has been declassified from tree to a grass status. Okay? Recently the Ministry of Agriculture has formed an advisory group for streamlining the development of bamboo sector under the restructured National Bamboo Mission. Right? It was launched in 2018-19. What is the status? Very important, please note this. India has the highest area, 13.96 million hectares under bamboo, and is second richest country after China in terms of bamboo diversity, with 136 species, 125 indigenous and 11 exotic bamboo species that are found in India. Very important, total 136 species, in that 125 are indigenous and 11 are exotic bamboo species, right? So the various initiatives to promote bamboo, first is the bamboo clusters, inaugurated the 22 bamboo clusters in 9 states, Gujarat, MP, Maharashtra, Odisha, Assam, Nagaland, Tripura, Uttarakhand and Karnataka. Very important bamboo clusters. And the MSP, recently the central government has revised the MSP for minor forest produce. The minor forest produce includes all non-timber forest produce of plant origin and includes very important bamboo, cane, fodder, leaves, waxes, resins and many forms of food including nuts, wild fruits, lac and tussar. So bamboo is included in the minor forest produce category in while getting the minimum support price. MSP was in news, there was an article, MSP was in news because the farmers are agitating for legalizing the MSP, Then the removal of bamboo from tree category, we spoke about it. The farmer producer organizations, 10,000 new FPOs will be formed in the next 5 years, and they will also try to address the issue related to bamboo. Certain other articles which for the paucity of time could not be covered, I have just listed these out for your this thing. These have to be what you call read, and the most important of all this is the Indian Development Report released by the World Bank. Please, when you go back home, try to Google about this. The Indian Development Report released by the World Bank and cyclone Mandos. Very, very important. The entire life cycle of cyclone, the geographical dimension, the disaster management dimension, and the other dimensions related to the cyclone have to be covered by you. More than these cyclone geographical factors, from the disaster management perspective, cyclone is very, very important for your examination. Okay? Chalo. What else? Anybody having any doubts? Please ask. Today, पॉलिटी का क्लास है शायद इन लोगों का. मैं 1 मिनट कंफर्म कर लेता हूँ. जरा हेमंत बुलाना. Lakshmi or somebody you call. The beauty is they don't tell me. They think sir knows everything and he will teach everything. We can take, not a problem actually. If the classroom is available, we will take. And what is the time of your this thing? 5 to 8. Happy. So, हाँ. You have called Lakshmi ना? नहीं उठा रहा है? आ रहा है? Okay. Yeah. Any other doubt? We can cover it. We'll do. If the classroom is available, we'll do it. हाँ. అంటే ఆర్డర్ తీసి they'll just take an order. Pawan Kalyan is hereby declared a terrorist. Then you have to stand with the board. My name is Pawan Kalyan. I am not a terrorist. Home Office. Home. Home. Which he says which department will declare an individual to be a terrorist. He basically wants to go to that department and declare me as a terrorist. That's all. I know his intentions very clear. हाँ. हाँ. Wildlife protection. हाँ. हाँ.
Why there are there are issues, no sir. The Parliament committee will check all this, no. Then why they will pass this bill even when this?
Parliamentary committee का composition क्या है? There is no independent members, no. Even if the independent members are called for, they have only advisory jurisdiction. तो अपने ही भाई बंधुओं को तुम एक कमिटी बना रहे हो और बोलो चलो यार इसके ऊपर कुछ लिख देना. होना वही होगा जो मंजूर खुदा होगा. अब खुदा कौन है तुम सबको मालूम. See, that's what you know. The functioning of a democracy is a big. So that's why it is said India is a democracy only till it gets elections are done. उसके बाद it becomes something else. ఇవాళ 3 to 5 mentorship explanation session ఉందా? రేపు పెడతారా వాళ్ళకి? చంపేయండి సండే రోజు నన్ను కూడా. 2 కింద ఉంది కదా. ఈ క్లాస్ ఫ్రీగానే ఉందా? You want me to take it today only? Mentorship. हाँ. Yeah, 3 weeks rather. Today is also including. हाँ. She wants me to take today also, tomorrow also. But sir should not get Sunday. Basically, you want to say that.
Tomorrow not needed, sir. Today you take and Monday you can.
Others take on Monday directly.
All 3 days.
Not tomorrow. Not tomorrow.
Monday, no, sir. Claims also will be covered.
Achha, they don't want to come on Sunday. Such good students I have here. They take care of my welfare. My comfort. Monday. All 3. 2 geography and 1 economy, right?
Yes.
1 economy and 2 geography. Take. Monday will take. No issues. Evening I'll tell them to keep the classroom free for us. Maybe around 5 o'clock I'll take. 5 to 8. Hanji?
Along with prelims, right? This
Prelims I won't take. I don't have patience for prelims. हाँ. Prelims मेरा बहुत fast जाता है. So for a student it may be a little different. ऐसा नहीं है. Before your prelims exam comes, we will meet every single day. I will talk every single day with you on mostly all the subjects. ठीक है? चलो, anybody any doubts? नहीं?